Hello, everybody. Welcome back to talking nonsense about books and all of that, movies and all of that. This is the part 3 of George Orwell, 1984. We're going to be talking about the last part of this book, part 3. As I did for the previous chapters that I talk about part 1 and part 2, I'm gonna give you a head off that spoilers, so be aware. Yeah, let's jump into the topic. Um, just before we start, I didn't enjoy the part 3 that much. Was not my cup of tea. Um, part 2 was great in my opinion, but part 3 too political for me. Too political. I'm not that kind of person. This year is that's I'm not that kind of person. But yeah, um, finally I was able to end this novel. Um, Took me longer than I'm proud of saying. Took me like a month and a couple of days to finish this book. I was like in end of quarter basically of the university. So needed to do some put more time on that. That's why it took me so long. But yeah, back to business. If we remember about chapter 2, how chapter 2 ended, it ended with Wisdom lacking. He got caught lacking. He got caught. My boy went to jail. That's how chapter 2 ended. And that's how chapter 1 from part 3. That's how chapter part 2 ended. Sorry, I'm messing words. Confusing words. Sorry. That happened. Well, that's how part 2 ended. My boy Winston got caught lacking. He is in jail. The ops got him. However you wanna call that. And that's how part 3 with chapter 1 starts. Winston is in jail. Sorry, remember, I hear something, but whatever. He's in jail, and his health appears to be like a checkpoint because every single person is going throughout the cell, going in and going out of the cell. Why am I hearing like some scratches on my? I think my cat is scratching there, but whatever. Seems to be like a checkpoint basically. And we hear about room 101, and Winston is having some inquiries in his head about that room. What is that room? What they do to people there? What is that? But yeah, we also saw like an old lady there that in Wisdom mind that lady could be his mom because he have the age to be his mom, and the lady was crazy, out of his mind. Yeah, that's something funny they put there. Later on in this chapter, we got into introduction to this chapter that have been mentioned before. That is Ampliford. Who is Ampliford? You don't remember? He's a poet, co-worker of Winston. Um, if I remember correctly, Ampliford is like not. He's in the room in the cell with Winston, but he have not noticed that Winston is there because he's like anxious, like looking through the ceiling, looking all the parts and all of that. If I remember correctly, that was Amplifier, the one that was like anxious. But yeah, as I said before, Winston said it like a checkpoint. So Amplifier was there, and later on he was no longer there. They took them to room 101. I don't know. They took them to a place. Basically to be killed, I guess. But yeah, and then I was a little sad about this person being here, but Parson is there. Who is Parson? Parson is the neighbor of Winston. Did you remember from the first part? Yeah, the first part. Winston have like a neighbor that is Parson with his wife and two kids, and basically Parson is in out of his house So a wife asks Winston to help her to fix the sink. And in that part, Winston said to himself, "Yeah, these kids are going to snitch on his family because these kids are so indoctrinated in the party and all of that." And that's what happened. That's happened to Aston. We saw that coming. My boy, during his sleep, he was complaining about Big Brother. His daughter basically told the police, and that was, I feel so sad for Watson because he was like, yeah, they did what was supposed to. They did no wrong, because how in hell I gonna be complaining about Big Brother? That was person mentality. Yeah, as I said before, this cell is a checkpoint. Person is take out of the cell. Bye bye, person. You're out. Um, then they put like a crazy skinny guy that is anxious, and he's basically like a zombie because he's like bones. He's in the starvation. Basically, that's how they portray this character. And this guy is like being taken back to room 101, and he said like he'd rather kill his whole family than going into that room again. So yeah, we get the message. Room 101 is hell. That's the torture room. And the chapter ends with O'Brien showing up in the cell. There, as I said before, checkpoint. 4 persons or 5 have has made their way to that prison cell. So yeah, O'Brien shows us, and Winston is hit in the head like again. He's hit, basically gets knocked out. And that's how chapter 1 of the second part, of the third part, end. Then we jump to chapter 2. Winston is being tortured. This chapter is long. It's a long chapter. I didn't make put that much attention in this chapter, if I'm being honest with you. I think I was at work when I read this. I mean, I was at work. Work is here right now where I am sit because I work from home. Whatever. You get the point. I was with my mind and other things. And Winston is being tortured, like heavily tortured, physical torture. And O'Brien showed up. Basically, he's the one in charge of torturing Winston. And the main purpose of Brian there is to make Winston basically to raise all that self-talk that Winston have, all that questioning, all the like things that Winston think about the party. They don't care about physical torture. They don't care anything of that. They only care about making the person like a blank project. They want you. They want to take everything out of you, and with that is taking even your way of thinking or your ability to think. So yeah, O'Brien is the one in charge of changing Wisdom mind, and there is a man in a white coat there. I don't remember what was the purpose of that man there, but yeah, he's there. I put that in my notes, and I don't remember why. They put something in Wisdom head, and they seem like to erase something from Wisdom, like appears to be brainwashed. And then later O'Brien tells something to Winston. The Winston, I think O'Brien tells Winston like, you're go ahead, ask me something. And he asks a lot of things, and O'Brien is like, I cannot answer that, I cannot answer that. And then Winston asks like, who snitched on me? And he said like, Julia betrayed Winston. I don't know. I don't believe O'Brien. Julia, I'm pretty sure that Julia didn't do that. But yeah, as I said before, this is like, these are really long chapters, so a lot of things happen here. These are just the notes that I got, but this chapter is worth reading and reread because they speak about a lot of things related to thinking and party and how the party is able to even make you believe that they created the laws of nature and how 2 plus 2 is 5, and they talk about all of those things. And yeah, it's a I don't I don't feel like talking about that because, as I said before, this is talking nonsense about books and movies and all of that. So I'm not going into details. Then we jump to chapter 3. There is like this chapter is like a yeah, a disagreement between Winston and O'Brien, and ideals about the party, about all they do, about everything. Winston is like trying to convince O'Brien that things are not what they believe. But I mean, this feels out of place because it's like arguing with someone that has a gun. Let's say that I am arguing with someone that has a gun. Doesn't matter if I making sense in every single word that I said. Doesn't matter if I am talking absolute truth because I have no power in that conversation. What is true in this conversation is what the other person thinks because he is the one that is in a position of power over me. And that's what is happened to Winston here because O'Brien basically is able to torture Winston with every basically question that or disagreement that O'Brien don't agree. And yeah, didn't enjoy this chapter that much. I input that in my notes, and as the previous chapter, this is a quite a long chapter, not as long as the one that Winston is being tortured. They put like they make Winston look himself in some mirrors, and Winston is in the most fucked up state possible. He's like in starvation. His teeth has fallen off, like a lot of teeth. His ulcer that he have is like disgusting. He's basically dying in the brink of death. My boy is just thick and bones, basically. That's what I put in my note. Yeah, Winston is thick and bones. He remembers Julia, and he said to himself, "I have not betrayed Julia. Um, Even if I have told them everything that I have done with Julia and all of that, um, everything that they did and all of that, he have not betrayed Julia, and the whole the chapter ends. Funny that it ended that way, but I think this chapter connects with other things that happen in the future. So in wisdom, let's have that in consideration. In wisdom mind, he have not betrayed Julian. That means that wisdom still feels something in terms of emotions and all of that towards Julia. But yeah, chapter 4. This is a weird chapter because Winston is getting better. He's getting fatter. I mean, he's gaining some weight is what I'm trying to say here. Physically, he's getting good, but he's brainwashed. Basically, he has lost all that self-thinking that Winston have, all that questioning, all the basically self-talk. He has lost that. Intellectually, Winston is intellectually Winston no longer thinks for himself. He believes that 2 plus 2 is 5, and that everything is created from the party and all of that. Basically, he's brainwashed. O'Brien succeed with what he wanted. Also, Winston is like basically waiting to be shot, and he says to himself like the party kills in the most unexpected time, so he don't see that happen soon because he's like in a place that I'm gonna be shot. I mean, they can't kill me here, so no, that's not a play that he is going to be killed. But whatever. Um, he's in what it feels like a nice place. I mean, from this chapter to the final one, it's hard for me to understand if it is a dream or not. If I'm being honest with you. But yeah, he's like in a nice place, and a lot of things start happening that make Wisdom feels hate towards Big Brother. All of the sudden, not all of the sudden, but he start feeling hate towards a lot of things happen that make him feel hate towards Big Brother. And the moment that he feel hate towards Big Brother, O'Brien enters the room. Well, enters the cell. Said that intellectually he has improved, but emotionally he had failed to make progress. So they don't even want they want to erase your intellectuality and also you basically your emotions. They want to make you like a robot. That's what the party wants to. They start like then there's no they O'Brien said like you have to love Big Brother, and they take Wisdom back to the room 101, basically back to being tortured. And that's how that chapter ends. As I said before, we have, I mean, Wisdom having emotion is like the main topic, I believe, of this part 3. So have that in consideration. Then we jump to chapter 5. That Wisdom is in the room 101 and he's asking to himself, like, what is in that room? And Orion tells him that you have always know what is in that room. And he enters the room, and that's when we are shown that what is in room 101, and it's your biggest fear, basically. Room 101 have a person's biggest fear, and biggest fears of Wisdom is rats. Why rats are the biggest fears of Wisdom? Because it has some weird correlation with a dream of his childhood. That dream, they have talked about that this dream in the chapter 1, if I'm in the part 1, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's the reason why Wisdom hate rats. Well, he doesn't hate rats. He's afraid of rats, and he's about to be tortured in the most fucked up way. Basically, what O'Brien wants to do with my boy Wisdom is put a mask in him, and these rats are in starvation. Like heavily starved. So there is like the way that they describe it is like a mask that they have like a door in between, and they open and the rat jumps to you and start eating you alive. And Wisdom is like in this desperation, trying to see he's trying to put a person between him and the rats. That's what Wisdom. That's everything Wisdom wants to hear. He said, Wisdom said at the end of the chapter, do it to Julia. Do it to Julia. I don't care what happened with her. Even if she dies, do it to her. And I think this chapter is basically trying to explain to us that Wisdom have lost all emotions. That O'Brien to sit with erasing basically the ability to feel something. Basically, now not to feel something, but basically now O'Brien has control over Wisdom emotions. Why? Because he made Wisdom say that do that to Julia. That's fucked up torture. Do that to one of his loved one, basically his lover. That's the way that I saw that chapter. I might be totally wrong about everything in this book, but yeah, don't. I mean, what can I say? That's how I saw this chapter. Don't take my word for granted. Read the book and do your own analysis. And yeah, it's just me talking nonsense, as I have said previously. And then we jump to the final chapter. This chapter is like a fever dream, if I can describe it. because Winston is like in this really good place in a coffee shop. He's drinking gin. He's playing chess. No one is playing with him, and but people don't pay attention to him. He's listening to the news. The party is in kind of a dispute, territory dispute uh, with other countries, and they seem to be losing. And Winston is like, yeah, they're going to be defeated. And that chapter goes on, and then he is talking with Julia. And they said like Julia have like a scar in his face. She no longer seems beautiful. She's no longer like a beautiful girl. And Winston said to himself like a real fucked up thing that he grabbed Julia's body, but Julia now is like she have like wider hips and something like that, but or basically she's like fat, like I don't know. The weight of Julia felt like a dead body. He make that comparison, and yeah, and they have a conversation, and the conversation is I mean, it's a long conversation, but basically they ended up parting ways. Uh, Julia went to a tube to the tube. With some basically stayed there, went back to the coffee shop. They have a really long conversation about a lot of things, and Winston said a lot of some things about himself. They just changed some words, but yeah, it's not worth. Well, for me, I don't want to. If I just talk about the chapter in general, it's gonna take me like an hour. That's basically what happened between the conversation with them. They no longer feel something towards each other. That's what I get about that conversation. Yeah, Winston is back in the coffee shop. He's dreaming about, well, he has memories about things that didn't even happen. He has like some memory about a good like he playing with his mother, ladders, snake and ladders, or something like that. But Winston then is like, wait a second, this didn't happen. I didn't have a single nice interaction with my family. This never happened. But yeah, basically, I think that's another way of telling us that Winston mind is basically controlled at this point of the book. He doesn't know what is reality and what is not. He's in the coffee shop and he heard like the little dispute that not little, but the dispute that the party was having, losing some territory. They managed to do some crazy thing here, and they managed to basically succeed and not lose that territory, and ended up as a winner and all of that. And Winston gets like happy about that. He gets happy, and he expressed like yeah, happiness about that situation. And then he's he's back to the Minister of Love, and he's waiting for his death. He's confessing to everything. He's like confessing to everything. They say that Winston's soul is white as the snow. He's blank. Uh, I don't know if he's like in some kind of being judged or something. But yeah, he's confessing to everything that he have done. Basically, I didn't talk about this, but basically, Winston, the party knew about Winston since Winston saw that picture of the three persons that were related to the party, but that picture proved like innocent of those persons. The party knew about Winston since then, since he saw that picture. Because if I remember correctly, what am I saying? Winston did like some news article about that, like trying to prove the innocence of those persons. So yeah, that's like the big reason why the party was behind Winston. 7 years took the party to basically get with, but yeah. Yeah, he's confessing to everything. Our boy is done basically at this point of the book. Winston is he's dead. Let's be honest. I guess he's dead, but how the book ended is that Winston finally loved Big Brother. He expressed love towards Big Brother, something that he never did throughout the whole book. And if you ask me, yeah, that's a way of portraying, or basically that's a way of telling the reader that O'Brien succeed with everything. Yeah, the our boy fell. He was a victim of the government. He became one of them. I'm joking, but yeah, that's how the book ended, and you can get all juice. I mean, you can think a lot about that ending, about the book in general. Um, and I get it. I get it why the book is. The fuck did I saw there? There is a. There is a frog in here. Let me show you this. As a, I don't remember. Just let me check if that's not a venomous frog. No, that's not venomous. Let me grab it. That's not that happened. Me, it's gonna take me like 2 or 3 seconds. I don't care about grabbing frogs, so I'm gonna show you a frog. Yeah, I'm back. I grabbed the frog. I mean, the poor boy is tired. Look, this little froggy. Why is a frog in my room? I live in a tropical weather country, and it's raining a lot of, and the poor boy is so tired. Yeah, and he's a big boy. He's, I'm not harming them, but I have my hands are basically messing with his skin, I believe. But I have to take him out of the room because he's gonna die. He's here. But where? A frog. Look at him. That's what I told him. And I'm gonna take this boy out and keep it up. Basically continue with the ending of the book. So be right back. Took me more than I was expecting. Jesus Christ, that boy the froggy was jumping throughout the whole room. Poor boy was really tired at the end. But yeah, there was a frog. And why is a frog in my room? I leave that window open. And I believe that he entered from there. Because that boy jumped from there to there. Basically. But yeah, whatever. You saw the frog. The end of the book. I get it. I get why the book is like so much. Because you read the book and it makes like it makes sense. You can find it relatable. You read this book and you say, "Oh, this is happening right now in my country." Makes a lot of sense. I remember seeing some TikToks about clock cameras in the States. Yeah, that's straight out of this book, and I get why people love it because it is George Orwell write this not knowing about the future, of course, and he ended up becoming like it's no longer like a novel for a dystopic future. It is like a novel, just a novel, of things that can actually happen in the modern time. So I guess that's the attractive of the book. Do I suggest this book? Yeah, go ahead. Read 1984. It is beautiful. It is awesome. I love it. I like it. The part 3, I didn't enjoy it that much, but part 1 and 2 were part 2 in especially was awesome. Yeah, I don't. It was not a hard read, even though I read it in English. I understand it perfectly. The the things I didn't understand was because I didn't want to. I didn't want to because were too political for me. So basically, I didn't feel like reading, making a lot of analysis towards that. But yeah, that's the book. Your Soul with 1984. We have a little guest in today's video. I hope you like it. I didn't have the way I put it back in the backyard. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. If I say the country that I'm from, you're gonna understand that I'm quite in sync with nature, whatever. um, yeah, that's George Orwell, 1984. A beautiful dream. I know why I get it. What is a classic? Go ahead, read it. You will enjoy it. It will make you think. It will make you. Com- it will make you like comparing things that you already does with this book. Yeah, awesome reading. And we're gonna leave it there. That was 1984. And finally, I was able to read. And now you might ask, what is the next book that you're going to read? I'm just gonna give the introduction. The next book that I'm going to read is The Gambler by Fyodor Dostoevsky. This one is going to be in Spanish, so maybe I'm gonna be able to give like a deep, deeper analysis because I'm reading it in my native language, my foreign language. I don't know, native language is the right word. Whatever, in the my first language, basically. El Jugador, that's the translation in Spanish. The Gambler, Fyodor Dostoevsky, the short book. I hope to read this in less than half a month. And yeah, I am in vacation right now from the university, not from the job, but from the university, so I'm gonna be able to read more. Thank you for watching. I hope you like it, and that's it. We're gonna leave it there.